Hi, everyone. It's Jane Rachel, and I'm back again with Lauren Mensch, who is a sophomore at Northeastern, who's telling us about her experience with POTS that she's had since the sixth grade. So, Lauren, it sounds like middle school was really tough, and I can imagine dealing with POTS. How did it affect high school, which I would think would be even more difficult?
Yeah, it was really hard. Um, I found that I couldn't take classes at the levels that I wanted to. I've always been a pretty advanced reader and I just wanted to take harder classes, but I wasn't going to school often enough to take the classes that I wanted to take. They moved too quickly and I was missing too much work to keep up. Um, and then when I was finally diagnosed at the end of my sophomore year of high school, I found that suddenly I was in all these really easy classes and I just couldn't get out of them because the way that the school was set up, I had to take honors classes for the first 2 years to take AP classes later on. And then as a junior, when I started to get into all of the college visits, everyone kept saying, you need to have AP credits, you need to have an AP class on your resume. And I just couldn't get to that. So I ended up dropping out and going to an early college program called Bard College at Simon's Rock, where
Great.
I was able to kind of reach the academic level that I wanted to for the first time, because POTS had just pulled me back in high school so much that there was no way to get out of the cycle that I fell into.
And what was it, mostly migraines? Like, what was it that was making you miss school for long periods of time?
By the time I reached high school, it was mainly just what I thought was anxiety. It was waking up and having my heart race so fast and thinking that because my heart was racing, I must be having an anxiety attack, so I couldn't go to school that day.
And it really wasn't an anxiety attack, though, because POTS causes a heart to race, right?
Yes, yeah. So it wasn't the anxiety, and I was also just so fatigued, I couldn't stay awake. I slept through a lot of my classes, um, and I just couldn't make it there every day.
Wow. And I imagine, when a child goes through something, it affects the entire family. I don't know if you have any siblings, but did your parents or did anyone else in your family, like, how were they coping while you were suffering?
Um, well, it's really interesting. My mom was very supportive um, of everything. She took me to all of my doctor's appointments. She was lucky enough to be working from home. So she was able to be around for me when I needed her. She was able to pick me up from school if I needed it. But she joined like every support group for every misdiagnosis that I had.
Oh, wow.
Um, and she did research on everything. She works in pharmaceuticals, so she does have a lot of science background. So she
Great.
understands a lot of stuff. It reached the point where she had written like a 10-page history of just like every doctor that I'd been to and all of the diagnoses that I had received, because we would go to these doctors and we had so much to tell them. We were just like, you know what? We're sending this to you ahead of time. Read it with the rest of my record. Um,
And did they
my
do that? Because I've tried that, and some are willing to do it and some aren't.
Yeah, that's the same thing that I found. Some did and some didn't. Um, my sister, she really struggled because she's 4 years older than me. So the good thing was that, you know, by the time I was so sick, she didn't need as much attention as I did. But she also just, I think, always struggled with feeling like my parents weren't paying as much attention to her. And when she had problems, they weren't approached with the same rigor that all of my problems are being approached with. Um, and so
Yeah.
she really struggled. And she knew, she's the sweetest person I've ever met. And she knew, she was like, I know that you need all of this and that you need this help right now and you need this attention, but like, it can be really hard for me too. Um,
Wow. It's great that your family seems like they all believed you, though, right? That they all.
yeah. My dad had a little trouble coming around. Um, and there were some waves with that relationship, but it's gone a lot better since then.
That's great. I think let's take a break right now, but in the next piece, let's talk about how you actually did get a diagnosis. So everyone will be right back.